Good evening. Tonight, a developing story inside royal circles is stirring renewed conversation about legacy, loyalty, and the future direction of the monarchy. In a surprising turn that has captured the attention of royal watchers worldwide, Princess Anne has reportedly made a decisive move regarding one of the most iconic symbols of the British monarchy, Princess Diana's legendary tiara. Sources suggest that the Princess Royal has chosen Catherine, Princess of Wales, as the next custodian of the historic piece, bypassing other senior royals and igniting whispers of palace tension. This decision, according to insiders, is more than just a ceremonial gesture. It carries deep symbolic meaning and could signal a subtle shift in royal influence. Here's a detailed look at what this unprecedented move could mean for the royal family and its delicate dynamics. Princess Diana's tiara has long been a symbol of elegance, diplomacy, and continuity within the monarchy. Crafted in the 20th century and worn at countless royal events, the piece is more than just jewelry. It embodies Diana's legacy and the cultural resonance of her life in public service. By selecting Catherine as the next custodian, Anne appears to be reinforcing a sense of generational continuity. Observers note that Catherine has often honored Diana's style and charitable priorities, suggesting a shared vision of modernizing tradition while respecting history. Royal insiders speculate that Anne's decision is loaded with significance. 1. Trust and responsibility. Catherine's stewardship of the tiara signals a vote of confidence from Anne in her ability to balance public duties with personal integrity. 2. A nod to modern royal influence. While senior royals like Queen Camilla remain prominent, Anne's move suggests that Catherine is emerging as a central figure in the next generation of monarchy. 3. Preserving Diana's legacy. Catherine has consistently demonstrated respect for Diana's charitable priorities and public image, making her a fitting heir to this iconic artifact. Although official statements have not been released, palace observers report that the decision has sparked quiet tension. While Catherine has been widely admired for her poise and diplomacy, some insiders suggest that the move may have been perceived as bypassing other senior royals traditionally considered heirs to royal heirlooms. The choice could also influence the subtle hierarchy of influence within the family, especially as discussions about inheritance and ceremonial roles continue behind palace doors. As expected, news of the tiara's next custodian has set social media alight. Fans of the royal family are divided. Many praise Anne for selecting Catherine, seeing it as a thoughtful gesture honoring Diana's memory. Others speculate about palace politics and the potential ripple effects of bypassing senior royals. Across platforms, commentators have noted the symbolic power of such a choice, framing it as a moment where private family trust intersects with public fascination. Catherine's connection to the tiara would not only reinforce her role within the modern monarchy, but also ensure that Diana's legacy remains visible in high-profile royal engagements. It is expected that the tiara will appear at future state occasions and public ceremonies, symbolizing both continuity and the subtle influence of Anne's choice in shaping the monarchy's future. This move highlights several broader trends in the current royal landscape. Generational transition. Younger royals like William and Catherine are increasingly central to ceremonial and symbolic decisions. Strategic alliances. Anne's decision may reinforce relationships within the next generation, signaling trust and continuity. Legacy preservation. Iconic items like Diana's tiara are not just decorative. They are symbols of familial memory, public service, and the monarchy's evolving story. While official confirmations are pending, royal experts suggest that Catherine's custodianship of Diana's tiara could become one of the defining gestures of her future role. It may also influence how other heirlooms and symbolic possessions are handled within the family, reflecting a careful balance between tradition, personal trust, and public perception. In a palace where symbolism often carries as much weight as law or protocol, Anne's decision could mark a subtle but historic turning point in royal inheritance and influence. The eyes of the world are now on Catherine as she steps into a role that connects her not only to a piece of jewelry but to the legacy of one of the most iconic figures in modern royal history. The atmosphere inside the private sitting room at Buckingham Palace had grown unusually tense. Outside, London moved along as it always did. Cars passing along the Mall, tourists gathering near the gates, cameras pointed toward the palace balconies. But inside those quiet royal walls, the conversation unfolding carried emotional weight that could ripple through the entire monarchy. Earlier that afternoon, Princess Anne had made a decision that stunned even some of the palace's most experienced advisors. Known for her practicality and unwavering sense of duty, Anne had never been one for dramatic gestures. Yet this time, her choice carried both symbolism and history. The subject was the legendary tiara once worn by Princess Diana, a piece of jewelry that had become inseparable from Diana's legacy. And according to growing royal whispers, Anne had chosen Catherine, Princess of Wales, as the woman she believed should inherit its future. Few royal jewels carry the emotional resonance of the Spencer tiara. Though technically belonging to the Spencer family rather than the crown, it became famous worldwide after Diana wore it on her wedding day to King Charles III in 1981. The moment the young bride stepped out of the carriage at St. Paul's Cathedral, the tiara glittering in the London sun instantly became one of the most iconic images in royal history. Over the years, the jewel came to represent Diana herself, graceful, radiant, and deeply connected to the public. That is precisely why discussions about who might wear it next have always been delicate. Many royal watchers assumed the tiara would eventually remain within Diana's immediate Spencer family line. Others believed it might someday appear again on the head of a future Princess of Wales. But until recently, no one expected that Anne would quietly step into the conversation. Sources close to royal circles say the conversation began during a private family gathering at Windsor Castle. Present were several senior members of the royal family, including Prince William and Catherine. Anne reportedly observed something during the evening that reinforced a belief she had held for years. While the royal family spoke about future duties and traditions, Catherine listened attentively, occasionally offering thoughtful insights, but never attempting to dominate the conversation. That quiet confidence reminded Anne of someone she had admired deeply, Diana. According to insiders, Anne later remarked privately that Catherine carried the same ability Diana once had, the gift of making people feel seen and valued. And in that moment, Anne made a decision that surprised everyone around her. If the opportunity ever came to pass down the symbolic tiara linked to Diana's public legacy, Catherine would be her choice. Within the royal family, Anne's voice carries extraordinary weight. As the daughter of Queen Elizabeth II and sister to King Charles, Anne has spent decades navigating the delicate balance between royal duty and family relationships. Unlike many others, she is known for speaking directly and without political maneuvering. That reputation means when Anne expresses a strong opinion about royal tradition, people listen. Royal historian conversations often highlight Anne as one of the monarchy's most pragmatic figures, someone who values continuity above personal preference. So when whispers began spreading that Anne believed Catherine should eventually wear Diana's legendary tiara, royal watchers immediately took notice. For years, Catherine has been compared to Diana, sometimes unfairly, sometimes inevitably. From her elegant public appearances to her ability to connect with crowds, similarities have often drawn media attention. But those close to the palace say Anne's reasoning goes deeper than appearances. Catherine's approach to royal duty has been deliberate and steady. She has supported William through difficult transitions, including the emotional period following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II and the beginning of Charles's reign. She has also carefully shaped her role as Princess of Wales without attempting to replicate Diana directly. According to insiders, Anne respects that restraint. In Anne's view, honoring Diana's legacy doesn't mean copying her style. It means carrying forward her spirit of compassion. If Catherine were ever to wear Diana's Spencer tiara, the symbolism would be profound. It would represent a bridge between past and future, between the beloved princess who transformed the monarchy's public image and the woman many believe will help guide its next era. Royal commentators say such a moment would likely occur at a major state event, perhaps a coronation or international ceremony. The image alone would travel around the world instantly. Catherine, standing beside William, wearing the same tiara Diana once wore decades earlier. It would be more than jewelry. It would be history, repeating itself in a new generation. Sources say William's reaction to Anne's suggestion was deeply emotional. For him, Diana's memory is intensely personal, yet he also understands how meaningful it would be for Catherine to represent that legacy in the future. William has long spoken about wanting his mother's influence to remain part of the monarchy's story. Seeing Catherine wear the Spencer tiara someday could symbolize that connection. Friends of the prince say he trusts Catherine completely with that responsibility. One reason the story has sparked intense discussion is the reported reaction of Queen Camilla. Camilla has gradually established her own position within the royal family, earning respect through years of public service. However, Diana's legacy remains a sensitive topic. Some royal observers speculate that the idea of Catherine wearing Diana's most famous tiara might overshadow Camilla during major royal events. Others argue the situation is more nuanced. Camilla herself has often emphasized unity within the family and may prefer to avoid revisiting old rivalries connected to Diana's memory. Still, insiders suggest the palace would handle any such decision with extreme care. In reality, royal jewelry decisions rarely happen quickly. Many pieces are controlled by trust agreements or family arrangements that stretch back generations. The Spencer tiara, for example, technically belongs to the Spencer family rather than the royal collection. That means any future appearance would likely involve discussions with Diana's brother, Charles Spencer. Historically, Spencer family brides have worn the tiara at their weddings, but its association with Diana has made it globally famous. And because Catherine is married to Diana's son, the symbolism becomes even stronger. Royal watchers have always been captivated by jewelry stories, but this one touches something deeper. For many people around the world, Diana represented a moment when the monarchy felt more human and relatable. The possibility of seeing Catherine wear the same tiara taps into nostalgia as well as hope for the future. Social media discussions exploded after the rumors surfaced. Some fans said it would be the perfect tribute to Diana. Others argued the tiara should remain strictly within the Spencer family. Regardless of opinions, the debate showed how powerful Diana's legacy still is decades later. Ultimately, the story may say less about jewelry and more about trust. Anne's reported support for Catherine highlights the confidence many senior royals place in the Princess of Wales. At a time when the monarchy faces constant scrutiny, Catherine has emerged as one of its most steady and respected figures. Anne's decision, if the rumors prove accurate, would reflect that respect. It would signal that the future of the royal family rests in capable hands. For now, no official announcement has been made. The tiara remains part of Spencer family history, and any decision about its future will likely unfold quietly over time. But the idea itself has already captured imaginations. Somewhere in the royal vaults or family collections sits the sparkling tiara Diana wore on the most famous day of her life. And if Princess Anne's vision ever becomes reality, the world may one day see it again. This time on the head of Catherine, standing beside William as the next chapter of royal history unfolds. A moment linking two extraordinary women across generations. Diana's legacy, carried forward by Catherine. As the whispers surrounding the legendary tiara continued circulating through royal circles, the story began to take on a life of its own. Journalists, historians, and royal watchers started revisiting old photographs, interviews, and archives, trying to understand why the idea of Princess Anne choosing Catherine, Princess of Wales, as a future wearer of Princess Diana's iconic tiara resonated so strongly with the public. What many began to realize was that the discussion wasn't simply about jewelry, it was about legacy. Even decades after her passing, Diana remains one of the most beloved figures in modern royal history. Her compassion toward vulnerable communities, Her willingness to challenge rigid traditions and her ability to connect emotionally with people across the world made her unforgettable. When Diana wore the Spencer tiara during her wedding to King Charles III at St. Paul's Cathedral, the moment felt almost like something from a fairy tale. But what made the tiara iconic was not simply its diamonds, it was the woman wearing it. Through the years, that image became symbolic of a turning point for the monarchy, an era when the royal family began opening itself more to the public. Because of that powerful symbolism, any discussion about who might wear the tiara again carries enormous emotional weight. For Anne, the decision reportedly comes down to a simple but profound idea: continuity. Those who have observed Catherine's role within the royal family often point out how carefully she has balanced tradition with modern expectations. Since marrying Prince William in 2011 at Westminster Abbey, Catherine has gradually built a reputation for quiet strength. She rarely seeks headlines but consistently earns admiration through her dedication to charitable causes and family life. Anne, who has spent more than 5 decades carrying out royal duties, reportedly respects that approach. Insiders say Anne once remarked privately that Catherine possesses the same steady composure that allowed Diana to shine during some of the monarchy's most challenging moments, and in Anne's view, that composure is exactly what the royal family will need in the decades ahead. Royal insiders describe a small but telling moment that may have shaped Anne's perspective. During a formal reception at Buckingham Palace, Catherine was speaking with a group of charity representatives who had traveled from different parts of the United Kingdom. Instead of delivering a brief greeting and moving on, Catherine spent nearly 15 minutes asking detailed questions about their work. Anne, observing from across the room, reportedly watched as Catherine listened carefully to each guest, occasionally laughing softly and thanking them for their efforts. The interaction reminded Anne of Diana's unique gift for making people feel valued. Later that evening, Anne allegedly told a close advisor that Catherine had the same instinct for people that Diana once had. It was a simple observation, but one that may have planted the seed for the tiara discussion. Of course, while the story has captivated the public, royal protocol adds layers of complexity. The Spencer tiara is not part of the official royal jewel collection. Instead, it belongs to the Spencer family, currently represented by Diana's brother, Charles Spencer. Traditionally, the tiara has been worn by Spencer brides on their wedding days. Because of that tradition, any decision about the tiara's future would ultimately involve the Spencer family's wishes. Still, Catherine's unique connection to Diana, as the wife of her eldest son, makes the idea more plausible than many initially assumed. If a major family occasion ever called for it, a temporary loan could theoretically happen, and if it did, the symbolism would be impossible to ignore. For William, the discussion is said to stir a mixture of pride and nostalgia. Growing up, he witnessed firsthand how much the Spencer tiara meant to his mother. Family photographs show Diana wearing it during several important royal events, always pairing it with elegant gowns that captured global attention. William has often spoken about his desire to keep Diana's memory alive for his children. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis know their grandmother primarily through stories and photographs. But symbolic gestures, like Catherine potentially wearing Diana's tiara, could help bring that history closer to the next generation. Sources close to William say he believes Catherine would treat such a moment with deep respect. Once rumors about Anne's preference reached social media, the reaction was immediate and passionate. Royal fans across the globe began imagining what such a moment might look like. Some shared edited images of Catherine wearing the Spencer tiara at state banquets. Others posted side-by-side photographs comparing Catherine and Diana's most famous royal appearances. The overwhelming sentiment was one of admiration. Many people wrote that Catherine embodies the qualities Diana admired most: empathy, dedication, and grace. But not everyone agreed. Some traditionalists argued that the tiara should remain exclusively within the Spencer lineage. They suggested that passing it outside the family, even temporarily, could dilute its historical significance. the debate highlighted just how emotionally charged royal symbols can become. Another layer of intrigue involves Queen Camilla. Camilla's journey within the royal family has been complex. Over the years, she gradually earned acceptance from both the public and royal insiders through consistent dedication to charitable work. Yet Diana's legacy remains deeply embedded in the public imagination. Any moment that revives comparisons between Diana and other royal women inevitably draws intense attention. If Catherine were ever to appear wearing Diana's iconic tiara, the media spotlight would likely shift instantly toward that connection. Some observers believe Camilla would prefer to avoid such dramatic symbolism during major royal events. Others argue that the royal family has moved far beyond past tensions, and that such gestures would simply celebrate history rather than reopen old wounds. What makes this story particularly fascinating is Anne's involvement. Throughout her life, Anne has avoided royal theatrics. She rarely grants interviews and almost never comments publicly on family matters. But within the palace, Anne's opinions carry tremendous influence. Her decades of service, often completed without fanfare, have earned her a reputation as one of the monarchy's most dependable figures. If Anne truly believes Catherine should represent Diana's legacy in this symbolic way, her support would carry considerable weight. And because Anne is known for prioritizing duty above personal sentiment, the idea becomes even more compelling. Royal historians often say that the monarchy survives by blending continuity with subtle evolution. The possibility of Catherine wearing the Spencer tiara someday fits perfectly within that tradition. Imagine a grand state banquet at Buckingham Palace decades from now. William, perhaps as king, standing beside Catherine. Guests from across the world gathered in the glittering ballroom, and Catherine appearing in a gown of soft ivory or royal blue, the Spencer tiara catching the light as cameras flash. For millions watching around the world, the image would instantly evoke memories of Diana. But it would also represent something new, the continuation of a legacy into another generation. Ultimately, the fascination surrounding the tiara says something profound about the monarchy itself. Royal traditions are built not only on laws and ceremonies, but also on symbols that carry emotional meaning. Jewels, portraits, and historic residences become vessels for memory. They remind people of the individuals who shaped those traditions. In Diana's case, that memory remains incredibly powerful. And if Catherine ever wears the Spencer tiara, it will likely be seen not as replacing Diana, but honoring her. For now, the tiara remains exactly where it has been for years, part of the Spencer family's treasured collection. No official plan has been announced, and the royal family has remained silent about the rumors. But the conversation sparked by Anne's reported preference has already achieved something remarkable. It has reminded the world how deeply Diana's story still resonates, and it has highlighted the growing respect many senior royals have for Catherine's role in shaping the monarchy's future. Whether the tiara ever appears on Catherine's head or not, the idea itself has become a symbol of continuity, of respect, and of the enduring bond between past and future within the royal family. Yet insiders say there may be one more surprising chapter to this story, one involving a private conversation between Anne and William that could quietly determine the tiara's fate for generations to come. As speculation continued to swirl around the possibility of Catherine, Princess of Wales, one day wearing the legendary Spencer tiara, attention quietly shifted to a private moment that reportedly took place behind palace walls. According to royal insiders, a thoughtful conversation between Prince William and Princess Anne may ultimately influence how Diana's legacy is symbolically carried forward. The meeting was said to have happened during a quiet family gathering at Windsor Castle, away from the cameras and formal duties that normally surround senior members of the royal family. While details remain closely guarded, those familiar with royal traditions believe the discussion likely focused on one central question: how best to preserve the emotional legacy of Princess Diana while guiding the monarchy into a new era. For William, the subject is deeply personal. Diana was not just a global icon to him. She was his mother. Many people remember the heartbreaking image of the young prince walking behind her coffin after the tragic events in Death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in 1997. That moment became one of the most powerful and emotional scenes in modern royal history. Nearly 3 decades later, William now stands as the future king. And with that role comes the responsibility of balancing personal memories with public symbolism. Another intriguing element in the story is the possible connection to William's daughter, Princess Charlotte. Although still young, Charlotte has already become one of the most talked-about members of the royal family. Her confident presence during public events has captured the attention of royal watchers around the world. Some commentators believe that if Catherine were ever to wear the Spencer tiara at a major royal event, the gesture could eventually form part of Charlotte's own royal heritage. In other words, the tiara's symbolism could travel through generations, from Diana to Catherine, and someday to Charlotte. That possibility carries enormous emotional significance. Charlotte never met her grandmother, yet many observers have noticed subtle reminders of Diana in her expressions, gestures, and natural confidence. Royal fans often comment that Charlotte seems to carry a similar spark, something difficult to define but instantly recognizable. Few people in the royal family understand legacy better than Anne. Throughout her life, she has built a reputation as one of the monarchy's most hard-working and disciplined figures. Often called the hardest-working royal, Anne carries out hundreds of official engagements every year while maintaining a remarkably private personal life. Because of that experience, Anne tends to think about royal decisions not in terms of headlines, but in terms of long-term impact. Sources say Anne believes symbols like tiaras, patronages, and royal residences help tell the story of the monarchy across generations. They are reminders that the institution is larger than any single person. In her view, Catherine represents stability at a time when the royal family continues adapting to modern expectations.